Welcome to Nightmare Story. I'm Lucas, your guide through the shadows. Here the night is quiet, but never safe. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and follow me into the places where forgotten footsteps echo and old fears wake beneath the darkness. This is where sleep meets terror. Are you ready? Tonight we slip into the hush of a highway that shouldn't exist on any modern map. A thin ribbon of cracked asphalt stretching across miles of moon-washed emptiness. The kind of place where your GPS fades into a confused shrug, and the night air hangs still enough that you can hear your own breath echo inside the cabin of your car. You grip the wheel a little too tight because you sense it already. Something is definitely out here with you, just beyond the reach of your headlights, just at the edge where the darkness seems to thicken instead of dissolve. And yes, you probably won't survive this, but you know, great bedtime energy. The night hums softly against the windows, an ASMR whisper of wind threading through each cracked seal, as if the highway itself is exhaling. Somewhere behind you, the shadows on the pavement twitch like they're trying to keep up. Before we dive deeper, here's your little call to action. If you genuinely enjoy my stories, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Now lean back, loosen your jaw, unclench your shoulders. Yeah, I see you. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The road unfolds before you, a faded two-lane stretch that looks like no one has driven it willingly for decades. Your headlights spill across weeds that have pushed their way up through jagged fractures in the pavement, their thin stalks bending under the wash of light like frail, startled creatures. You roll forward at a steady, sleepy crawl, your tires thumping gently over the uneven surface, and the night feels wide, hollow, and high above you, like you're driving under the dome of a forgotten world. Out here, the stars look too bright, too awake. You get the eerie sense they're staring back, the way cartoon paintings in old haunted mansions seem to follow people around with judgmental, painted eyes. The Milky Way smears itself overhead like a pale scar across the sky, and you can almost convince yourself that the universe wound itself tighter just for you tonight. Your dashboard clock flickers at 12:04 a.m., then 12:04 a.m. again. It's been doing that for a while, but you're too tired to feel properly bothered. At some point, it'll catch up. That's what you tell yourself anyway. You coast along, listening to the quiet drone of your engine and the faint hiss of static from the radio. Because of course this is one of those nights where the only station that comes through is a slightly judgmental preacher telling you the end times might be around the corner. You're not convinced, but given the scenery, he's not wrong to warn people. As you drive, you notice the first sign of something strange. Faint, blurry footprints pressed into the shoulder of the road. Just one set, just enough to notice. They look fresh, as if someone walked barefoot across the dusty gravel minutes ago. You glance at them, blink, and when you look again a second later, they're gone. The gravel sits undisturbed, smooth as a page not yet written on. You shake it off. Long drives do that. You start seeing things, faces in tail lights, figures in the fog, existential dread in traffic cones. It's normal. But a mile later, you catch movement in the corner of your eye. The silhouette of a person standing at the very edge of your headlights. Just a shape, tall and motionless. You inhale sharply, and your foot lifts instinctively off the gas as the figure seems to shuffle closer to the road. You blink, startled, and they vanish like mist sucked backward into the dark. Your brain tries to rationalize it. Heat distortion, a reflection, a shadow from a tree. Except there are no trees, not anywhere. You haven't seen a single one since you turned onto this road, which is odd, because your map had shown this area as forested. You told yourself the map must be outdated. Paper maps lie sometimes. So do digital ones, apparently. The silence in the car grows heavier. Even the static on the radio drops out, replaced by a thin, high note that feels less like sound and more like pressure, like something squeezing lightly on the edges of your thoughts. You clear your throat. "All right," you mutter into the empty air. "That's normal." Joke number one for tonight. You say it's normal, which is basically the bedtime story equivalent of narrating your own doom. You keep driving. The road curves slightly, leading you around a slow, sweeping bend. And that's when you see him. A lone hitchhiker. He stands on the shoulder, illuminated in the dim wash of your low beams. One arm hangs loosely at his side. The other extends upward in that tentative, hopeful hitchhiker gesture, not desperate, not rushed, just a quiet request. His clothes look old, like he's been wearing the same outfit since the late 80s. You can't make out details. His face is too shadowed, but something in his posture calls out to you. You slow down, instinct and caution wrestling inside you with equal intensity. Picking up strangers on a deserted midnight highway is not generally considered a wise life choice. You know that. The universe knows that. Even the judgmental preacher on the static-filled radio would probably agree. But something compels you. Curiosity, sympathy, or that gentle tug in your chest that whispers you're not meant to leave someone alone out here. You roll closer. The hitchhiker stands still. And then, as your car creeps within 20 feet, he flickers. Not disappears, not fades. Flickers like a frame skipping in a corrupted video file. One moment, he's there. The next, he's not aligned with reality, shifting, warping, like his very presence is glitching. You slam on the brakes. The figure freezes, but not in the way normal humans freeze. It's more like the universe hit a pause button on him. You sit there, heart thudding, the headlights carving his shape out of the night. He doesn't move. He doesn't breathe. He doesn't even sway in the breeze. You inhale slowly and blink, and the instant your eyes close, even for that fraction of a second, he vanishes completely. Your headlights illuminate bare asphalt. No man. No footprints. No swirling dust. No hint of movement. Nothing. You sit in stunned silence, your fingers numb around the wheel. The road hums faintly beneath you, an old creature shifting in its sleep. You exhale, a shaky laugh escaping your throat. "Okay," you whisper. "Yeah, this is fine." Another joke, your second for this chunk. Sleep stories are supposed to help people relax, but here we are, casually collecting paranormal hitchhikers like Pokemon. You put the car back in gear. A few minutes later, something new happens. Your car slows down, just a hair, without your foot touching the brake. A subtle drag, like you're driving through thickening air. You glance at the dashboard and notice the temperature gauge dip unnaturally low. A cloud of frost creeps slowly across the inside of your windshield, feathering outward like delicate ice crystals forming under invisible breath. You rub your palm across the glass, but the frost reforms instantly, crawling outward as if drawing a message, or maybe a warning. The air grows colder still. From the corner of your eye, you see movement again. This time it's not a person standing at the roadside. It's a faint trail of footprints forming on the pavement ahead of you, appearing one by one in perfect sequence, as though an invisible walker is crossing the road right in front of your moving car. You stare at the prints, entranced, anxiety prickling the back of your neck. The footprints are barefoot, narrow, human, and deeply defined, as if pressed into snow instead of old asphalt. They appear, then fade, then reappear a foot ahead, leading your vision across the path and toward a patch of darkness on the far side of the road. You slow down without realizing it, the car coasting almost reverently. The last footprint lingers a moment longer than the rest, and then it dissolves, drawn away by some unseen current. Then you hear it. A soft knock. Not on the window. Not on the roof. No, the sound comes from inside the car. Specifically, behind you. You freeze. Every muscle in your body goes rigid, your heart thudding aggressively in your ears as you stare straight ahead into the endless stretch of road. You don't turn around. You can't. Something in your bones tells you that looking would be a terrible idea. Another soft knock. 2 taps, gentle, polite, like a stranger asking to be let into a house. Your breath shudders out of you. Nope, you whisper. Absolutely not. We're not doing that. That's your third joke for the chunk, though your voice shakes as you say it. Finally, gathering every ounce of courage you have, you slowly turn your head to glance at the rearview mirror. At first, you see nothing unusual, just your backseat, the faint silhouette of empty upholstery in the ghost blue glow of your dashboard lights. Then, the mirror flickers. Just once, like the glitch you saw earlier. And in that skip of reality, the shape of someone sitting in your backseat appears, just for a microsecond, but long enough for your mind to register details it will spend the rest of the night trying to disprove. A figure, head bowed, hands folded neatly in their lap, face hidden by shadow. You jerk forward, a strangled sound catching in your throat. When you look back again, the seat is empty. But something lingers, an imprint on the leather, as though someone had been sitting there for hours, warming the cushion with their weight. You stare. Blink. Stare again. The imprint remains. A hitchhiker who was never picked up has somehow been here. You grip the wheel and exhale shakily. The cold air feels heavier now, denser, as if it's trying to push you into the seat and whisper, "Keep driving, keep driving, keep driving." So you do. Your car glides forward once more, and the night folds around you like a velvet curtain. You're not alone on this road. Not anymore. Not really. And deep down, you know you were never meant to be. Your headlights illuminate the endless pavement ahead, and you inhale slowly, steadying your breath as the story tightens around you like a seatbelt you never buckled yourself. The footprints, the flickers, the vanishing silhouettes. They're only the beginning. Because this road has a memory. And tonight, it remembers you. The first few miles after the imprint in the back seat blur together in a strange, hazy stretch of motion. You keep waiting for your pulse to calm down, but it doesn't. It just settles into a tight, jittery rhythm, like your heart drank 3 espressos without consulting you first. The cold inside the car slowly fades, the frost retreating from the windshield the way a tide pulls back from a shore. But the memory of what you saw doesn't retreat with it. The impression, the actual depression, left in the seat still sits there like quiet evidence of something you'd really prefer to forget. You try not to look at it, but your eyes keep drifting back in a stubborn rhythm, like your mind refuses to leave the mystery alone. Every time you check, the imprint is still there, unchanged, undisturbed. You swallow, adjusting your grip on the wheel, and the road stretches onward as though it has been waiting, patient and still, just for you. The headlights glide across faded yellow lines and cracked asphalt, giving the landscape around you a ghostly emptiness. Nothing rises beside the road. No houses, no fences, no convenient stores clinging to the edge of survival. Just the bare openness of a world that doesn't expect visitors anymore. You pass another sign. Or rather, what used to be a sign. The metal pole stands crooked in the dirt, but the sign itself is missing, ripped off or erased. You catch the faint rectangular ghost of where it once hung, a pale discoloration surrounded by rust. Your foot eases off the gas again. If this were a video game, this is the part where a mission prompt would pop up telling you, "You have entered the nobody should be here zone. Good luck." The radio crackles suddenly, startling you hard enough that you jump. The static swells and then reshapes itself into a fractured melody, thin, warbling notes, like someone tuning an old violin underwater. The sound prickles the hair on your arms. You twist the dial instinctively. It doesn't change the station. It doesn't even give you the courtesy of pretending to. Instead, the violin-like sound sharpens, growing clearer, almost structured. You squint, trying to decipher it. After a moment, it becomes unmistakable. It's humming. Someone, a voice high and thin, is humming over the static. A simple, looping lullaby that sounds familiar in the way dreams feel familiar, recognizable but impossible to place. Each note rises gently, like breath fogging a mirror, then drops in a soft, sliding hum. You turn the dial harder, then jab the buttons, but the station won't budge. The humming continues. Soft, patient, near. Your shoulders tense. A creeping sensation spreads across your neck, as if the humming isn't coming from the radio at all, but from behind you. No, you whisper. Nope, absolutely not. And that's your first light joke for this chunk. Congratulations, you're surviving through sheer sarcasm. Still, the strange melody vibrates through the car, resonating low in your bones. For a moment, the road feels unreal, like you're drifting through a tunnel of sound rather than asphalt and night. And then, a shadow crosses your headlights. You gasp and slam the brakes. Your seatbelt digs into your chest as your car jolts violently, tires skidding across gravel. The headlights flare forward, cutting a wide, bright arc. Your eyes dart to the figure that appeared in the road ahead. But there's nothing there. The highway lies empty, stretching forward like an unwound film reel. You sit frozen, fingers trembling around the wheel. Your breath fogs faintly in front of you, though the frost on the windshield has long since melted away. Slowly, shakily, you release the brake and exhale. Okay, you murmur. This road is haunted, that's fine. It's not fine, but denial is a soothing blanket. You continue downhill, the engine purring softly as the darkness presses closer. A few minutes pass, the humming fades, the static returns, and you begin to settle back into that half-alert, half-dreamlike headspace long drives are famous for. You almost convince yourself it was all a hallucination when you spot the second hitchhiker. This one stands closer to the road, dangerously close, just a few feet from where your car will pass. Their silhouette looks wrong somehow, not because of the posture or shape, but because of the stillness. They stand perfectly rigid, unmoving even in the slight breeze that ripples across the landscape. A long coat hangs from their frame, its edges motionless. Their hair, long enough to brush the shoulders, doesn't stir. You slow your car again. The hitchhiker watches you approach. Or you think they do. Their face is obscured by the shadow cast by your headlights. You can't see eyes or expression or even clear features, only the faint outline of a head slightly tilted. You swallow hard. Picking them up isn't an option. You already know that now. Whatever these beings are, they're not out here looking for rides. You drift past cautiously, eyes flicking between the road and the figure. And as your car inches alongside them, they turn their head toward you. Not gradually, not naturally. The head snaps toward you in a stuttering, mechanical jerk, as though the movement was performed in several frames rather than one fluid turn. Your pulse spikes, your hands twitch. The figure doesn't step toward the car, doesn't raise a hand, doesn't hitch a ride. They just watch you pass, head tilted at an impossible angle. You force your gaze back to the road and keep driving. But after a few seconds, curiosity gets the better of you. You glance at the side mirror. The hitchhiker is gone. Not walking away. Not shrinking in the distance. Gone. Like they never stood there at all. Your exhale is shaky, frayed at the edges. You grip the wheel tighter, fighting the urge to turn around, or to abandon the car entirely and walk into the desert and become a cactus. Honestly, the cactus life seems less stressful. You drive on. The road dips lower, descending into a shallow valley. Shadows pool along the edges, blue and thick and somehow aware. You glance up at the sky and notice the stars have shifted positions. They look clustered, like they've drawn closer together. You blink, look again. They've shifted again. You don't like that. You don't like that at all. But before panic can spiral, something else catches your attention. Your passenger seatbelt buckle clicks softly. All on its own. The metal tongue slides slowly into the buckle. Click. Your entire body goes rigid. You stare at the seat. There is no one there. No weight. No indentation. No shift in the cushion. But the seatbelt remains buckled, snug and secure, as though someone, or something, just sat down beside you and politely buckled themselves in. Your breath stutters. I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. Second joke of this chunk. Humor, your only weapon. You keep your eyes forward. You do not look at the empty seat again. You're not sure what you'll see if you do. Another mile passes. Then another click. Your head jerks involuntarily. This time, it's the center rear seat belt. The buckle snaps in place by itself. You whisper, I'm starting to feel outnumbered. You don't dare turn around. Your headlights sweep across the road ahead, and something glitters faintly on the asphalt, small, scattered points of light reflecting back at you. You squint as you approach them. They're coins. Hundreds of coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, old foreign currency, strewn haphazardly across the pavement. They shimmer in the headlights like an offering left on a grave. Your car crunches over them softly. A chill slides through you. Why coins? Why here? Why now? Before the question fully forms, your radio crackles sharply. The humming returns, louder this time, joined by a second, lower voice humming in harmony. The melody coils through the car, winding around your ribs. You feel it in your fingertips, in the base of your skull. Then, beneath the humming, you hear something else. A whisper. Soft, slow. Can you see us yet? Your blood turns to ice. You don't answer, you can't. Your jaw is locked, your throat tight, your pulse pounding. The whisper continues, a little clearer now, drifting through the cabin like a draft. We remember you. Your hands tremble against the wheel. You press the accelerator gently, urging the car faster, though every sensible instinct tells you speeding on this road is a terrible idea. You glance at the mirror and nearly scream. Three shapes sit in the back seat. Faint, pale, out of focus, like reflections in a fogged mirror, but undeniably there. You slam your eyes shut, breath shaking. Your mind claws for any kind of rational explanation. Fog, shadow, hallucination, sleep deprivation. But nothing holds. When you open your eyes again, the back seat is empty, but all three seatbelts are buckled. You can't breathe for a second. Your hands ache from gripping the wheel too tightly. Okay, you whisper hoarsely. Okay, this is happening. You try to steady yourself. The road ahead stretches long and dark, an unwinding thread that pulls you deeper into its mystery. And a question forms quietly in your mind, an unwelcome, uninvited thing. Why me? The road seems to respond, shivering under your tires, humming faintly like a low, distant engine. You get the strangest sense it wants to answer you, but roads don't speak. Usually. You feel pressure shift in the cabin, as though someone behind you leaned forward slightly, weight adjusting subtly. You squeeze your eyes shut for 1 second too long, and instantly regret it. Because when you open them again, a new hitchhiker stands directly in the center of the road ahead. You slam the brakes, heart in your throat. But this time, they don't vanish. They stand still, watching you. Waiting. The engine, idles softly. You sit frozen, and for the first time tonight, you feel it. Not fear, not confusion, recognition. You don't know how. You don't know why. But you've seen this one before. Somewhere on this road. Somewhere in your memory. Somewhere you shouldn't have been. The hitchhiker raises their hands slowly, pointing, not at you, not at your car, but at the empty space beside you. The buckled passenger seat. Your breath catches in your chest, and the story deepens, folds in tighter, drawing you further into the quiet, vanishing world of hitchhikers who were never meant to be found. The hitchhiker in the road doesn't move, not even a sway, not even the faintest shift of balance. Just that outstretched arm, pointing steadily toward your passenger seat with a deliberate, unsettling calm. You stare straight ahead, hands shaking on the wheel, pulse thundering in your ears. The night around you goes impossibly still, as if the desert has stopped breathing to watch what you'll do next. The pointing figure stands only 10 feet away, close enough that if you rolled down your window, you could almost reach out and touch them, though obviously you're not volunteering for that job tonight. You sink back into your seat, shoulders rising defensively like you're trying to retreat from the entire universe. Every instinct inside you is screaming, not in panic exactly, but in an ancient, primal, don't you dare move kind of way. Your breath fogs the air faintly, despite the temperature in the car having returned to normal. The figure's finger remains rigidly extended toward the empty passenger seat, its gesture filled with a meaning you don't understand and don't particularly want to. Slowly, the hitchhiker lowers their arm. The movement is smoother than the last figure you saw. No glitching, no frame skipping. This one moves like a person should, but something in the timing still feels wrong, too precise, too synchronized with the quiet thrum of the engine. They take one step toward you. Just one. And you are absolutely done. Your survival instinct slams the car into reverse before your brain even approves the decision. The tires screech against gravel and the car jolts backward, headlights swinging wildly as you put distance, any distance, between you and the standing figure. The hitchhiker doesn't chase you. They don't even turn their head as you retreat. They stand still, watching you with a quiet, unreadable patience, like someone waiting for a train that's half an hour late, but they've already accepted it. Once you're a safe 50 yards back, you slam the car into drive and swerve around them in a wide arc. As your headlights sweep across their form one last time, you notice something chilling. Their shadow doesn't match their posture. It stretches forward across the road, toward you, even though your headlights are shining from the opposite direction. The shape lengthens unnaturally, thin and searching, as though reaching for your car. You accelerate hard, and the figure shrinks into the darkness behind you. But their shadow stays with you a beat too long. You don't look in any mirrors for several minutes. The road curves slightly, and you follow it with white-knuckle precision, focusing on the yellow lines like they're the last safe thing tying you to the real world. Your breath finally begins to steady, and the oppressive quiet around you loosens by a fraction. But then, click, you flinch. It's the sound of the rear right seatbelt unbuckling. Not buckling. Unbuckling. The metal tongue slides free with a soft, mechanical release, the strap retracting smoothly with a whisper. Your heart stutters. Okay, you murmur in a thin, shaky voice. So someone left. You say it like a joke one for this chunk. But your tone is absolutely not comedic. It's more of a please don't let me be right kind of thing. But the car feels lighter now, subtly, just enough to notice if you're paying attention, and you are definitely paying attention. You try not to think about why anyone would leave, or where they went. The humming on the radio has stopped entirely. Even the static is quiet, like the signal is holding its breath. You toy with the dial, but the lack of response is almost creepy in its obedience, as though the radio doesn't want to disturb whatever's happening. A few miles later, you notice the next oddity. A small shape on the side of the road. At first you think it's another hitchhiker, but as you approach, you see the silhouette is wrong, shorter, rounder, almost squatting. Not human, not animal. You slow, headlights washing over the figure. It's a backpack. Just sitting there on the dirt. The fabric looks old, frayed, bleached by years of sun exposure. The zippers hang crooked. The straps are torn. It's the kind of bag you'd expect to find in an abandoned campsite or a thrift store clearance bin, not perfectly centered beside a road where no one should be. Your tires crunch softly as you roll past, and just as you're about to accelerate again, something moves. The backpack shifts. Only a little, but enough for the straps to twitch like they were briefly pulled by invisible fingers. Nope, you whisper. No ghost luggage tonight. You accelerate because you've had enough paranormal encounters for 1 hour, and you're not prepared to negotiate with haunted Jansport accessories. Honestly, your emotional energy is at capacity. But as the backpack fades in the rearview mirror, a small, faint voice crackles through the radio. Not humming, not whispering. Just a soft, almost conversational tone, like someone leaning in from the back seat. You left my things. Your blood goes cold. You grip the wheel so hard your knuckles ache, and for several seconds you can't breathe. Your eyes lock straight ahead, refusing to acknowledge the space behind you. No, you say quietly. No, thank you. Return to sender. Your second joke of the chunk, if you can even call it that. The radio cuts out again, leaving the cabin hollow and silent. You drive faster. The road begins to climb again, sloping upward into a ridge. The incline forces your engine to strain slightly, and the hum fills the silence in a strangely comforting way. You focus on the road, the rise and fall of the terrain, the soft bump of uneven asphalt under your tires. The world feels real again. Almost. And that's exactly when the fog rolls in. It's subtle at first, a thin veil of haze drifting across the pavement. You squint, adjusting your posture to see more clearly. The fog thickens quickly, a creeping wall of pale silver that swallows the desert in every direction. Your headlights push into it, but only illuminate a short tunnel of visibility, like you're driving into a soft, glowing void. You ease off the gas. You know fog is dangerous on its own, without adding supernatural hitchhikers to the equation. The last thing you need is to plow into something you can't see. But then, as the fog closes around you like a cocoon. Shapes appear within it. Not clear ones, not solid, just faint silhouettes drifting along the roadside, matching the pace of your car. Some walk parallel to you, others stand still. A few turn as if watching you pass, their outlines dissolving and reforming with each shift of the fog. Your hands tremble. Footsteps, soft, muffled, echo around the car. Not from outside, from within the fog itself. Pacing, following, and then a shape crosses directly in front of your headlights. You twist the wheel and swerve hard, heart slamming against your ribs. The car veers slightly off the center of the road before you correct and steady it. You breathe out shakily. The fog blurs again. This time, the shape is closer. This time, it stops directly in your lane. You slam the brakes. The car shudders to a halt. Your headlights flare through the fog, but the figure stands only a few feet ahead, a clear outline now, human-sized, arms at its sides, head tilted down slightly, as if looking at the ground. You stare, frozen. The figure lifts its head. Your breath catches. You recognize the face. Not because you remember them from earlier, but because the face is your own. A fog-shaped mirror image of you stands motionless in the road, pale and shimmering through the haze. Its expression is blank, emotionless, but its eyes, your eyes, are wide, dark and hollow. You can't move. The mist version of you takes one slow step forward. Your jaw locks, your heart hammers in your chest. It takes another step, closing the gap between you. You force yourself to act. Your hand shoots to the gear shift, and you slam the accelerator. The car shoots forward, passing directly through the fog figure, and for a moment, a cold, crushing pressure clamps around your chest, like it siphoned the air straight out of your lungs. You gasp sharply as the pressure vanishes. The fog thins abruptly behind you, the road reappearing in long, empty stretches. You're shaking hard. You whisper, "Okay, that's new." Joke number 3, though we're grading on a curve at this point. The visibility clears entirely within seconds, the sudden absence of fog almost more disturbing than its presence. The desert returns, wide and empty under the sky. Your breathing slows only a fraction. But then, finally, something normal appears. A road sign. You squint at it, feeling relief bloom in your chest. Signs are good. Signs are sane. Signs exist in the human world. You roll closer. But the letters on the sign don't make sense. Not because they're in another language. Because they're in your handwriting. Messy, slanted, sharp at the ends. The white sign reads, "Turn back. You were here before." Your stomach drops. Another sign stands 50 feet beyond it. Same handwriting. "Not this road. Not again." And a third. Something is waiting. You breathe, slow, shaky, uneven. A fourth sign approaches. This one doesn't contain a warning. It contains a single name. Your name. Painted in thick, dripping strokes across the metal surface. You drive past it, throat tight, breath shallow. The road stretches onward again, smooth, silent, endless. The night deepens, and the vanishing hitchhikers gather quietly in the corners of your vision. This road, whatever it isn't finished with you. Not yet. The wind presses against your back as if urging you forward, nudging you back toward the yellow line of the highway where the air tastes of metal and unfinished thoughts. You step onto the pavement again, letting the night swallow the last remnants of Stillwater Trail's ghostly whistle. The sky spreads like a sheet of deep ink overhead, with the occasional star peeking through as if checking whether you're still upright. You are, though your legs feel slightly watery, like they've only just remembered what bones are supposed to do. You keep moving, breathing in slow, steady pulls, trying to match the rhythm of the cicadas, but failing spectacularly because your lungs apparently have their own jazz improvisation going on. The next mile marker glints in your peripheral vision, a small silver rectangle, dented and scratched, the number nearly scraped off. You brush your fingers over the surface, feeling the cold bite of metal. For a moment, you think you hear something inside it tapping back, like a fingernail from within the pole. You pull your hand away, because you're not here to audition for Haunted Street Furniture Anonymous. You keep walking. The rhythm of your steps becomes a soft metronome. Every few yards, the shadows ripple near the tree line, but you've taught yourself not to check anymore. That's how you've been surviving this road so far, by pretending the road is just a road and not a conveyor belt for people who shouldn't exist. But tonight, something feels off. You pick up on it when the wind suddenly dies. The air becomes syrup-thick, warm, dense enough that when you breathe, you swear it pushes back. Even the insects go quiet, not fading out, but cutting off abruptly, like someone just unplugged the night's soundtrack. You don't stop walking, but your pulse definitely files an HR complaint. Ahead, you spot movement, a faint glimmer low to the ground. You squint because your eyes are tired and dramatic, and the darkness around it looks warped, like heat waves rising from asphalt. But it's not heat, it's flickering. It reminds you of headlights, except they're far too small. They blink once, twice. You slow down despite how many times you promised yourself you wouldn't. As you draw closer, you see them, two tiny lights floating a few inches above the pavement. Not headlights, not fireflies either. The glow pulses a soft, ghostly blue, too artificial to be natural, too natural to be mechanical. You look behind you to double-check that no car is coming, because the last thing you need is to be the mysterious stranger who became road pizza while observing paranormal headlights. The road is empty. You edge closer. The lights drift backward, keeping the same distance from you, as if they're shy but also deeply invested in your personal space. You take another step. They pull back again. It feels like an invitation. Or bait. You really hate that those two options tend to overlap out here. You follow anyway, because what else are you going to do? Apply logic. You've been on a highway where hitchhikers vanish into thin air. Logic is back home, curled up with a warm mug of cocoa. The lights lead you toward a curve in the road. As you advance, the air cools a little, returning to the normal night chill. The stars seem brighter here, or maybe your pupils are just begging for something that isn't total darkness. The curve reveals an old rest stop, one of those tiny pull-offs with a picnic table, a trash bin, and a map display nobody has checked since 1994. The lights glide toward the map. Then, in the space of a heartbeat, the world changes. A figure appears. Not materializing from thin air, not exactly. It's more like the figure flickers between being and not being, like a bad connection on an old TV. Your body tenses immediately, because the tall, thin form looks too still, too arranged. The outline sharpens, the flickering slows, and the blue glow gathers along its edges. Then the lights, those two little blue orbs, float upward, settle gently, and become eyes. You freeze. The figure stands perfectly straight, arms hanging neutrally at its sides. It wears a pale jacket, light-washed denim, the kind you'd see in thrift stores tagged vintage, even though it's just old. Under it is a dark shirt and jeans that look worn but clean. Human clothes. A human shape. But not fully human. The skin, where visible at the neck and hands, has a faint bluish translucence to it, like it's lit from within. The hair is short, messy, and colorless, not white, not gray, not blonde, just absent of color entirely. The figure tilts its head slightly at you. You force a calm breath because panicking is mostly counterproductive, and also you don't want to give this thing the satisfaction. Hi, you offer, sounding like someone who's answering a security question they definitely forgot. The figure says nothing. Instead, its lips part, not quite a smile, not quite a grimace, and you hear something rise from inside it. A whisper. Except it's not coming from the mouth. The whisper travels from behind you, then beside you, then under the road. It's everywhere and nowhere. Follow the threads, the whisper says. You step back, because no, thank you, threads sound like something spiders use or grandmothers knit, and you don't want to be part of either ecosystem. The figure steps forward to match your retreat. Its eyes glow brighter. The world dims around them. The shadows from the trees stretch farther than shadows should stretch. You watch one long branch shape creep across the pavement like it's trying to shake your hand, but also might drag you into a leafless hug of doom. Nope, you mutter under your breath, which is basically your survival catchphrase at this point. Nope, nope, nope. You back up another half step, ready to bolt if necessary. But then the figure finally speaks, this time from its actual mouth. The voice is soft, thin, as if it's been carried across miles before reaching your ears. They walk with you. You blink, who? The figure tilts its head again, the ones you cannot see. Fantastic, love that, very reassuring. You consider leaving, you consider staying, you consider whether your health insurance covers extra-dimensional migraines. Then the figure lifts one hand. You flinch, but the gesture isn't threatening. It points to the ground near your left shoe. You look down. There, embedded in a crack in the asphalt, is a strand. A thin, silvery thread, almost invisible unless angled in just the right light. It runs along the road's edge, curves slightly, and disappears into the distance. You kneel carefully and touch it. The thread vibrates like a quiet guitar string. When it does, your vision blurs, not forward, but sideways, like something is nudging you out of alignment with reality. You yank your hand back. The figure watches you with something that might be interest, might be hunger, might be indigestion. Hard to say. What are the threads? You ask, because apparently you've become the type of person who now conducts Q&A sessions with luminous road specters. They guide, the figure answers. To what? The figure doesn't answer. Instead, it steps back. Its outline flickers again, fraying around the edges. The blue glow dims. The world snaps back into focus. Then the figure vanishes. Blink out, clean, absolute. The two little lights drop back down to the asphalt for a moment, like they're lingering to make sure you took notes. Then they dart toward the curve in the road, moving with deliberate speed, and vanish as well. You're left alone at the rest stop, staring at a faint silver thread that wasn't there 10 minutes ago. You swallow hard, because you understand something now, something you hadn't fully grasped before. You aren't just encountering disappearing hitchhikers. You're walking along the edge of a giant web, and you have no idea who or what is weaving it. You step back onto the road, pulse thudding, mind racing with the whisper's words. You start following the curve, each footstep measured, cautious, heavier than before. The thread continues faintly in your peripheral vision, always just barely visible, like it doesn't want you to stare directly at it. It hums occasionally, like a bow pulled across a violin string too softly for anyone but you to hear. As you walk, the road straightens out again. A new breeze picks up, returning the night to something resembling normal. Crickets resume their chorus, albeit hesitantly, the way employees return from an unexpected fire drill. The air smells faintly of asphalt, pine, and something else, something like old rain trapped in concrete. You look ahead. Another hitchhiker is standing there. A teenage boy, hands shoved in the pockets of a hoodie, shoulders hunched. He looks solid, present, real. He's staring at the ground, kicking at a pebble absently. As you approach, he lifts his head, and you feel that familiar pressure in the air, the one that hits you each time one of them appears. Your throat tightens. Because the boy's face is normal. Entirely normal, too normal. And his shadow doesn't match his posture. Great, love that for you. You slow down a bit as you reach him. He doesn't speak at first, just glances at you like he's rehearsing a line he can't quite remember. Finally, in a small voice, he asks, "Can I walk with you?" Your pulse thuds once, hard. Because this is new. They never ask. You hesitate, scanning him. His hoodie bears the logo of a band you vaguely recognize, something edgy and loud, the kind of music that sounds like ants performing aggressive slam poetry. His jeans are frayed at the cuffs. His sneakers are scuffed. He looks alive. You nod slowly. Sure, come on. He falls into step beside you. For a few minutes, neither of you speak. The silence is oddly comfortable, like sitting beside someone on a bus who also hates small talk. The boy kicks another pebble forward, then glances at you. You see them, right? He asks quietly. You stop walking. See what? He looks forward toward the empty road. The ones who follow us. Your mouth dries instantly. He continues walking when you stop, but only for a few steps before he turns back. Don't stop. They get closer when you stop. You resume walking, because obviously. You clear your throat softly. Who are they? He shrugs, but the gesture is strange, too slow, like he's remembering how to mimic the movement. People, but not really. They want a ride, but they don't know where to go. You mean like hitchhikers? He nods, sort of. They're stuck. Some call them echoes. Echoes of what? He looks at you again, and in the faint moonlight, his eyes look a shade too dark. Us. Your stomach tightens. What does that mean? But the boy doesn't answer. Instead, he squints at something in the distance, something behind you. His shoulders tense. His breathing becomes shallow. They're here, he whispers. You don't look back. Because you can feel it too. The air grows colder, heavier, thick enough to pull at your hair and clothes. Shadows stretch along the pavement behind you, merging into a single long shape that isn't shaped like any person should be. The boy steps closer to you, his voice trembling. Keep walking. You do. Step after step. Breath after breath. The shadows linger at your heels, not quite touching you, not quite retreating. The boy begins to hum under his breath, a shaky, simple tune. You realize it's the same melody you heard earlier from the gas station figure. The threads hum at the same frequency. You want to ask him what the humming does, but your throat is too tight. Finally, after what feels like miles, but is probably a quarter of one, the pressure in the air begins to lift. The cold eases. The shadows shrink back. The boy stops humming. You both exhale deeply. He wipes his nose with his sleeve, another too perfect gesture, like he learned it by watching humans instead of being one. Then he looks at you again. Thank you, he whispers. For what? For letting me walk with you. You offer a tired smile. Anytime. He nods softly, eyes lowering to the ground. Then he fades. Not all at once, not like the figure at the rest stop. Instead, his outline softens, dissolves like dust in a sunbeam. Within seconds, he is gone. Only the faint imprint of his footprints remains in the dust on the road's shoulder, two soft smudges that slowly blur and disappear. You're alone again. Except you're not. You feel the threads humming beneath your feet. You feel the shadows watching from the tree line. You feel the road stretching endlessly ahead of you. And somewhere in the dark behind you, you hear footsteps. Soft, steady, matching yours. You don't look back. You keep walking. You have to. Because the night is far from done with you. The footsteps behind you keep an unnervingly perfect rhythm, landing half a second after each of yours, as if the night is trying to echo you back at yourself. You focus on your breathing, counting quietly in your head. 1, 2, 3. Anything to keep your mind from wandering to the idea of whatever might be behind you, suddenly deciding it no longer wants to follow and would prefer to overtake. The moon slips behind a slow-moving cloud, dimming the world down to charcoal outlines. The highway stretches forward like a yawning mouth, the white center line glowing faintly, guiding you deeper into the empty miles. You run your fingers briefly along the strap of your backpack, grounding yourself. The thread on the roadside hums again, that soft violin note vibration that somehow gets under your skin and settles behind your ribs. You don't know how long you walk like that, maybe minutes, maybe centuries in both directions, before the darkness around you thins into something more silvery, a softening of the air that feels like the world is inhaling before speaking. The footsteps behind you slow. You feel the shift, like someone leaning away. You stop. This time, the footsteps don't stop with you. They continue, 1, 2, 3 steps more, right up to your back, and then a silence. Your pulse spikes so fast, you feel it in your teeth. You turn. Very, very slowly. The road behind you is empty. Not just empty, but hollow. The air looks scraped clean, as if shapes used to stand there and were recently erased, leaving an after-image of absence. Even the shadows feel startled, pulled tight against the tree line like they saw something they refused to describe. You exhale shakily. Okay, you whisper, because talking to the night is apparently a habit now. Cool, fun, love that journey for me. A breeze brushes past your shoulder, not cold, not warm, neutral. Curious, like a hand reaching out, not to grab you, but to see if you're really made of the same stuff as everything else on this road. It carries a faint voice with it. A whisper. Don't let them catch you alone. The voice is familiar, too familiar. The boy. You spin around again, hoping he might have reappeared, but only the empty road stares back. You close your eyes, letting the whisper settle into the back of your mind like a warning printed on a fortune cookie you definitely didn't want to open. You walk. This time the footsteps don't return. After a while, the sky lightens at the edges, not sunrise, but the pale, silvery suggestion of it, like dawn is politely waiting its turn. Your legs ache. Your shoulders feel heavier than your backpack accounts for. But you keep moving because the road demands it, because stopping feels like inviting whatever walks behind you to try again. Eventually, the thread on the roadside curves away, slipping into a narrow dirt access path that disappears into a cluster of pine trees. You follow the highway instead, not ready to test your luck with off-road paranormal excursions. The pines rustle softly, as if sighing at your decision. You pass another mile marker. This one isn't dented. Its numbers are clean, bright, freshly replaced. You glance at the reflective surface and freeze. Your reflection isn't alone. A second figure stands beside you in the metal. You can't make out details, only the tall, blurred outline of someone facing the road, not you, watching the direction you're heading. You whip around. Nothing there. You turn back to the reflective surface. Only your face stares back, slightly paler than before. Okay, reality, you mutter. Pull yourself together. You keep walking. Ahead, the road dips slightly into a long, shallow valley. The highway lights, only two of them still functioning, cast pale cones of illumination over the pavement. In the distance, you see something moving. Not a person, not a car. A shape. Low, slow, drifting. You narrow your eyes. It's smoke, a veil of it, hovering over the road as though the air forgot how to behave. You wave a hand as you approach, expecting the smoke to disperse, but it simply parts and then reforms behind you, sealing the world you left and the world ahead into separate bubbles. You step out of the smoke and you stop dead. Someone is sitting on the guardrail. A woman in her 40s, maybe. Hair tied back loosely, wearing a worn bomber jacket and jeans. She looks tired, not supernatural tired, human tired. A traveler who's waited too long for a ride on a road that doesn't offer mercy. You lift a hand awkwardly. "Are you okay?" She looks up slowly. Her eyes are rimmed red from crying. Her voice is raw when she speaks. "Have you seen a boy, about 16, hoodie, dark hair?" Your breath catches. You nod. Her lips tremble. She stands abruptly, nearly stumbling. Where, how long ago, is he hurt? You hesitate because explaining ghost hitchhiker dissolving into ethereal dust might not be the best strategy here. You gesture up the road weakly. "He walked with me. He, didn't say his name." She pales. "That wasn't my son." Your stomach tightens, but you just asked if. "That wasn't him," her voice cracks. "But he looked like him. They always look like him." She presses the heel of her hand against her forehead. "He went missing on this road 11 years ago. Nobody ever found him, but I keep seeing him every few months, sometimes close enough to touch." You swallow. "You keep seeing him." She nods hollowly. "And every time he fades before I can reach him." You take a careful step forward. "Why are you still out here?" She laughs, a brittle, exhausted sound. "Because he always looks younger, like he never aged. And I keep thinking if he never grew older, maybe he never died. Maybe he's still stuck." The word lands heavy in the air. Stuck. Echo. Thread. You feel the road's presence around you, alive, listening. "Tonight," she whispers, "I thought I saw him again, but he wasn't real. He never is." You want to tell her something comforting, but the words don't form. Instead, you stand with her in the dim wash of the old highway lights, the two of you sharing a moment suspended between heartbreak and dread. Then she looks at you, something quietly desperate burning behind her eyes. "You should leave this place," she says softly, "before it takes you too." You stare at her. "What do you mean?" She opens her mouth and vanishes. Gone. Clean. Instant. Just like the boy. Just like the blue-lit figure. You stand frozen in the empty silence that swallows her last word. The smoke behind you ripples, the thread hums faintly, and the night tightens its grip around your ribs. You're alone again. Completely. The wind brushes past, your ear like a warning. Keep walking. So you do. You walk until the road rises again, until the highway lights disappear behind you, until the smoke settles into nothing more than memory. You walk until your legs burn and your lungs throb, and the silence wraps around you like a thin blanket. And somewhere in that long stretch of endless road, the threads begin to hum louder. You don't know what they want. You don't know where they lead. You only know one thing. You're in this now. And the night isn't finished with you. Not by a long shot. Your feet find their rhythm again, soft thuds on the worn asphalt, each step pushing you deeper into a part of the night that feels older, heavier, as if time thickens the farther you go. The air grows cooler, sharper, threading itself through your hair like thin fingers. You roll your shoulders, trying to shake off the lingering chill from the woman's disappearance, but it sits with you, tucked beneath your skin like a secret bruise. The road hums faintly beneath you, almost like it's pleased you didn't turn back. Up ahead, the highway bends in a long, sweeping arc that fades into darkness. You hear it before you see it, a low, distant rumble, like an engine idling on another plane of existence. It's subtle at first, almost dismissible, until it grows louder, closer, pulling at your attention the way gravity pulls at oceans. You tense, listening. A vehicle. Finally. Except you don't hear tires. Only the engine. You slow your pace, heart thudding in a confused rhythm. The sound grows louder until it's right beside you, except there's nothing there. No headlights. No taillights. Nothing. Just the humming engine of a vehicle that should be occupying physical space, but absolutely refuses to. You turn your head slowly. A shape is gliding beside you. Not a car. A silhouette. The outline of a vehicle formed entirely out of darkness, like someone carved the absence of a car from the night and let it drift along the shoulder. You can make out faint, shifting contours, the curve of a hood, the line of a door, the implied suggestion of windows. But there's no light, no shine, no reflection, and absolutely no driver. You swallow hard. The shadow car keeps pace with you, neither speeding up nor slowing down, quietly matching each of your steps with silent forward glide. Right, you mutter, just what I needed. A sponsored ad from the Shadow Transportation Authority. The joke hits the air a little too thinly. The shadow car drifts closer. Not threateningly, yet, but close enough that you feel the air pressure change. A whisper rises from inside it, airy and fragmented, like wind trapped in a cracked bottle. You left us. Your skin prickles. The voice is layered, multiple voices stacked on top of each other, overlapping like a choir that never learned harmony. You force yourself to keep walking because stopping feels like asking this thing for a ride you very much do not want. You left us on the road. The voices exhale around you, brushing past your ears like cold breath. You shake your head. I don't even know you. The shadow car releases a sound that might be a creak, might be a groan, might be something dying slowly in a cavern. It glides ahead, cutting in front of you, blocking the road. You halt. The shadow door on the passenger side opens. Not swings open, no. It unfolds, like the night peeling back on itself, creating a void where the interior of the car should be. A voice from inside whispers, "Get in." You take a polite step back. Oh, absolutely not. The door hangs open, almost expectant. And we wait for you still. Another step back. And we follow you still. A cold pulse rushes through your chest. We remember. You point at the door with an unimpressed finger. Okay, nope. Take your haunted Uber somewhere else. The door slowly folds back into place, sealing the darkness. The shadow car shifts. The front end lifts slightly. It seems to look at you. Then, it drives through you, straight through your body. Your breath collapses. Your chest contracts painfully. For a moment you feel weightless, suspended inside a vacuum where sound and sensation don't exist. Your heart gives a panicked twitch, and then you stumble forward, gasping, clutching at the air like you forgot how lungs work. You spin around, coughing. The shadow car is gone. The road is empty again. You inhale shakily and keep moving, because at this point, stopping seems like the fastest route to becoming road daker. You walk for a long while before the world shifts again. It's subtle at first, just a flicker of movement at the corner of your eye. You glance to your right, nothing but trees swaying in the wind. A few moments later, to your left, another flicker. A shape this time, like someone half-formed standing by the guardrail. You look fully. Gone. The shadows dart and stretch, but you keep steady breaths, keep a steady pace. Then you hear it. A short, sharp whistle. The universal signal for "Hey, you." You glance over your shoulder. A figure stands several yards back. No flicker, no blur. Clear as day. A man in a thick jacket, backpack slung over one shoulder, hand raised in greeting. He smiles a soft, tired smile. A normal hitchhiker. Or the world's most enticing trap. But after everything else tonight, normal hitchhiker is the more terrifying option. He jogs a bit to catch up. Thank God, he breathes. Been trying to get someone's attention for miles. You hesitate. Yeah, well, this road's weird. Tell me about it, he laughs lightly, though his eyes dart toward the tree line with a flicker of tension. Name's Callum. You don't offer yours. He doesn't ask. You walk together for a minute before he glances toward the darkness again. Have you seen them? Your spine stiffens. Seen who? The ones in the road, he whispers. They walk like they're trying to remember how. Your stomach churns. Callum exhales shakily. I didn't believe it at first. Thought I was tired, hallucinating, but then the shadows started following me, and tonight... He cuts himself off. You wait. He swallows hard. Tonight I saw my father. Your breath catches. He stares straight ahead, not meeting your eyes. He died when I was a kid, but he was standing on the shoulder like he'd been waiting for me. Same jacket, same smile. He pauses. Only his shadow wasn't right. It stretched across the whole road like he was taller than he looked. You don't speak. Callum closes his eyes briefly. He asked me to go with him. Your pulse spikes. And did you? What do you think? He scoffs softly. I ran. You nod. It's the correct survival instinct. Then Callum glances at you. Did you see anyone tonight? You think about the boy, the woman, the figure of blue light, the shadow car. You settle on a safe answer. A few. He studies your face. You feel weighed, measured, categorized into one of two groups. the people who know this road, and the people who pretend they don't. Finally, he asks quietly, "Do you hear the humming?" Your heart stops for a second. He presses on, those little vibrations along the road, like something plucking a string. "Yeah," you breathe. "I hear them." "Good," he whispers. "Why?" He doesn't answer. Instead, he says, "They only hum for the living." Your skin crawls. Before you can respond, Callum stops walking. He turns slowly and looks down at the pavement. The faint silver thread is visible again, running along the road's edge. It hums softly, as if greeting him. He crouches and touches it. You wince. Don't. Too late. His outline flickers. Once. Twice. He stands abruptly, swaying. His eyes glaze over. His face slackens into an expression somewhere between confusion and revelation. "Oh," he whispers. You step closer. "Callum." "Oh," he repeats softer. "That's why." "Why what?" you ask, voice shaking. He looks at you, really looks, and his irises shift subtly, as if something behind them is turning, adjusting, focusing. "I wasn't running," he says. "I was looking." Your throat tightens. "For what?" "For my body." Your breath falters. Callum steps back, watching his own hands with dawning understanding. "I thought I survived the crash. I thought I walked away, but I never made it off this road." He smiles faintly. Not sad. Not happy. Just free. The humming crescendos. His body dissolves. Slowly. Softly. Like mist lifting with dawn. You stagger back, watching him fade into the night until nothing of him remains except the echo of his final word lingering in the air. Finally, silence floods in. Cold. Heavy. Absolute. You stand alone again. Completely. And the road hums beneath your feet like it's turning a page you didn't know you were part of. You take a breath. A long, trembling one. Then you walk. Because something in the darkness is shifting toward you. Something with many footsteps. Something that knows your name, even though you never said it. You ease back into the drive as if the highway itself exhales, a long shiver of night sliding under your tires. The empty seat beside you feels heavier than before, like the imprint of someone who isn't there is somehow more present than an actual body could ever be. You don't comment on it. Commenting just makes the air thicker, and you've learned not to anger the things that ride without riding. The asphalt ribbon narrows. Trees on either side lean in, elbows on the guardrail, listening. Your headlights push against the darkness like a pair of tired hands, and you feel that familiar tug again, the sense that something wants to be picked up before you even see it. A hitchhiker's gravity, a pull you recognize too easily. You slow, even though the road is empty. Even though you know what slowing means. The passenger seat creaks, leaning back, as if adjusting itself for whoever is on their way. And you mumble, half sarcasm, half dread. "Sure, take your time. I've got nowhere to be except not dying tonight." The joke lands in the dark with all the grace of a damp sock, but it gives you just enough courage to keep your eyes open. For now. The figure appears in the distance exactly the way the others have. First as a smudge between the guardrail posts, then as something thin and uncertain, then, when you blink, suddenly close enough that your breath stumbles. They never walk normally. They don't stroll or shuffle or wave like real people. They just exist, fully formed, right on the shoulder, like the night coughed them up. This one stands very still. Too still. You pull up beside them anyway, because that is the curse of this road and this hour. Your window hums downward, the cold breath of the forest hits your face, and the hitchhiker leans forward slightly, just enough that the shadows rearrange themselves into a face. A young man, maybe 20. Rain-dark hair plastered against his forehead even though it hasn't rained in miles. His clothes, old denim jacket, threadbare backpack, look like they've been traveling since the 70s. You swear you can smell dust and distance coming off him. "You headed north?" he asks, though his lips barely move. "I'm going that direction," you murmur, second-guessing every syllable. He nods once. Then he's already opening the door. They never wait for permission. He slides inside like mist, deciding to sit down, and you hear the faint whisper of fabric compressing the seat. Far too quiet for someone with actual weight. You don't look directly at him. You know better. Peripheral vision only. It keeps the world softer. Keeps you slightly less aware of how wrong everything feels. "Long trip?" you ask, because small talk is your last line of psychological defense. He doesn't answer right away. His head turns toward the passing trees as if he's counting them. 1, 2, 3, then softly. "I've been trying to get home." You swallow. It's always some version of that. When he finally looks at you, you wish he hadn't. His eyes aren't glowing or bleeding or doing anything dramatic. You'd almost prefer that, honestly. No, the real horror is how normal they are. Just tired. Just deeply, desperately tired, like someone who's been awake for decades. "How far?" you ask, regretting the question immediately. He lifts a hand, gesturing vaguely ahead. "Close, closer than before." Great, cryptic directions. Always the sign of a stable, non-paranormal situation. As the road curls through the trees, the temperature inside the car dips. Not a normal cold. More like the air has been drained of its memory of warmth. You tuck your hands deeper around the wheel, hoping the heater takes the hint. The hitchhiker shifts, a whisper of denim on vinyl. "You ever miss a place?" he says, so much that your feet keep walking long after the rest of you stops. Your spine stiffens. You know exactly what he means. Too exactly. You try to respond, some harmless joke about having an unpaid parking ticket in your hometown or something, but your voice refuses to cooperate. The night is too thick, your tongue too heavy. He doesn't seem to mind the silence. His attention drifts to the rearview mirror. You follow his gaze before you can stop yourself. In the glass, the back seat isn't empty. You don't breathe, you don't move, you don't blink. There is someone sitting there. A woman this time, hair long, dark, hanging over her face like curtains that no one bothered to tie back. You can't see her skin or her eyes or even the shape of her mouth. Just her outline, faint and pulsing like an afterimage burned into your vision. The young man in the passenger seat doesn't react. He just watches her watching you. "Don't mind her," he murmurs. "She's only here because I'm here." That sentence is objectively unhelpful in every possible way. You keep your gaze fixed on the road. The mirror feels radioactive now. One glance could unravel the thin layer of reality holding this whole situation together. So you don't look again. You pretend the back seat is empty. You pretend you didn't hear the faint sound of breath behind you. The young man leans slightly toward the heater vent, still speaking softly. "She's been following me for a long time. I don't always know why. I don't always ask." You risk a whisper. "Should I be concerned?" He considers the question. The headlights carve two pale tunnels through the dark, and the forest crowds closer yet. Not if she stays quiet. Fantastic. Nothing like conditional safety to really calm the nerves. You take another slow turn. The trees thin out, revealing a long stretch of highway that feels oddly bright, as if the moon is overcompensating. The dude beside you presses one hand to the window, palm flat. "It's strange," he says. "Some people vanish because they're taken, others because they choose to leave, but some people just fade." Your throat tightens. "Which one are you?" you ask before thinking. He smiles, not widely, just a flicker at the corner of his mouth. A smile full of old sadness. "I'm the kind that forgot the difference." The woman in the back seat shifts. You hear it. You feel it. The air ripples like she's leaning closer to the front, as if she wants to hear the conversation too. You grip the wheel. "You said you were trying to get home," you manage. "Where is that?" Ahead, the highway bends sharply, an off-ramp leading to a small collection of streetlights. A town. You don't remember seeing it on any map earlier. "That's it," he whispers. The wind sneaks through the vents, carrying something that smells faintly like old newspapers and wet leaves. "That's where I left myself." You slow as the off-ramp approaches. It feels like the car is being guided rather than driven. The woman's presence behind you presses harder, like a cold fingertip trailing down your spine. Just as you cross under the first streetlight, the young man exhales slowly, relief melting into the air. "Thank you," he says. And then he's gone. The seat is empty. Your breath hits the windshield in a sharp, terrified burst. You slam on the brakes. The car skids slightly, tires crying against the asphalt. You twist in your seat, heart jackhammering. The back seat is empty too. No woman, no presence, no sound. You are completely, unforgivably alone. The off-ramp lights flicker overhead, one by one, like blinking eyes trying to decide what they've just seen. And you have no explanation. Just the echo of a voice that isn't yours. Just the lingering, cold in the air beside you. Just the growing certainty that the vanishings are not random at all, and that you have not been chosen by accident. You take one shaking breath and pull the car forward, deeper into the town that wasn't on the map, knowing this wasn't the last passenger who will disappear beside you. Not even close. You glide deeper into the town you're fairly certain didn't exist a few minutes ago, the way a dream suddenly decides it has geography. The streetlights blink at you like they're still warming up, and the buildings lean over the road in that tired small town way. Too many years of sagging roofs, peeling paint, and that general, yeah, the economy left and took our last shred of self-esteem with it, vibe. Your tires crunch over gravel that wasn't there a second ago. The car hum settles into something quieter, more reverent, as if it knows you've crossed some invisible line and has decided to behave. You loosen your grip on the wheel just enough to let blood back into your fingers. A tiny, treacherous part of you expects the hitchhiker to reappear in the passenger seat, dripping fog and nostalgia. But the seat stays empty. The air stays cold. The strange, echoing quiet of the car presses around you like a second skin. You pass a faded sign, leaning at a slant. Welcome to Narrow, Pines. Pop. There's no number, just 3 question marks, aggressively unhelpful. Super comforting, you mutter under your breath. Love a town with commitment issues. A joke a minute, your basic coping strategy now. The road leads you to a main street, so empty it feels staged. Like the set of a western rite, before tumbleweeds roll through and someone challenges you to a duel over who gets the last can of beans. The storefronts stare with dusty windows, the mannequins inside frozen in outfits at least 2 decades out of fashion. Everything here exists, but nothing lives. And then, movement. A flicker of someone standing near a bus stop bench. Your chest lurches. Another hitchhiker. You feel it, the same gravitational tug, that soft pressure along your ribs that whispers you're being watched by something that wants to be known. You slow the car again. This is becoming a very bad habit. The figure is clearer this time. A woman in her late 30s maybe, wrapped in a heavy coat with fur trim that's long since balded with age. She holds a small travel bag, one handle torn and clinging by a few hopeful threads. Her shoulders slump with a level of exhaustion you recognize instantly. The kind people wear after walking too far, wanting something too badly, or losing something they'll never get back. She doesn't raise her thumb. She doesn't wave. She simply stands, looking at you as the car approaches, her eyes reflecting the streetlight like a pair of quiet coins. You stop the car. Because of course you do. You lower the window, the cold rushing in again. The woman steps closer. Her breath fogs the air, too slow, too delayed, like it's been thinking about whether it should show up at all. Do you need a ride? You ask, your voice steadier than you feel. Yes, she says simply. No cryptic metaphor, no eerie pause, just yes. She opens the door and sits, her coat rustling like pages being turned. You watch her settle into the seat. The scent of old perfume curls around you, lavender and something sweeter beneath it. One of those retro scents older women wore in the 90s because a magazine told them it was empowering. She buckles the seatbelt. They never buckle the seatbelt. For a moment you wonder, is she actually alive? Then she looks at you, and the answer becomes wonderfully, terribly unclear. Where to, you ask? Her gaze drifts to the windshield, her expression unreadable. Anywhere farther than here. Not helpful, but at least it's polite. You ease the car back onto the empty main street. The town around you feels like a fossil preserved mid-gasp. The woman keeps her hands folded on her lap in that eerie stillness of someone waiting for something inevitable. After a while, she speaks. I used to live here, a long time ago. You nod, mostly to fill the silence. Left for work, had a life. Thought I'd come back someday and it'd all be the same. She laughs, a small, brittle sound. You ever do that? Leave something behind and imagine it will freeze in place until you're ready to deal with it. Probably, you say. I have a laundry basket that still thinks I'm coming back for it. Your joke earns a faint smile, a real one. That helps your pulse settle. The town passes behind you more quickly now. It looks smaller in the rearview mirror, but the woman watches it as though she's memorizing every window, every roof tile. I shouldn't have come back, she whispers. Why not? Because I'm not supposed to be here. She doesn't elaborate. Of course she doesn't. Your passengers never give you the whole story until it's too late. The road loosens, straightening into a long stretch lined with telephone poles. The moon follows at an angle, lazy and half bored. The woman in the seat beside you smooths the torn edge of her bag with soft, repetitive motions. You glance at her from the corner of your eye. Are you going home? You ask. No, she shakes her head. Home isn't for people like me. That sentence hits too hard, like it carries a weight you're not privy to. You look at her fully now. Her face seems translucent, not see-through, not glowing, just softer around the edges, like she hasn't quite decided how solid she wants to be. You shouldn't ask the next question. You really shouldn't. Are you alive? Her eyes meet yours, calm, steady. Alive enough to miss things. You swear the temperature drops another notch. The road arcs toward a small bridge. As the car crosses it, you feel a subtle tug, like the subtle click of a lock you didn't know was there. The woman straightens. This is the border, she murmurs. Border of what? You'll see. Fantastic. Love a good vague supernatural tease. 5 stars would panic again. The bridge ends. The land opens into a wide clearing where the forest pulls back, giving space to the sky. The stars glow bright and unnervingly low, like a handful of silver pins stuck into a velvet curtain. The woman exhales slowly. You know why people vanish, she asks. You blink because something takes them. She shakes her head. Because something calls them. The car's engine stutters, just slightly, enough to notice. The headlights flicker once. You grip the wheel tighter. I heard it, she says. That's why I came back, not to return to this town, but because something on this road called my name. A chill taller than you rises down your spine. Did you find it? You ask, because apparently you enjoy emotional self-harm. Oh yes, she breathes. I found exactly what was calling. There's a sound in the distance. A low hum. A vibration that travels through the steering wheel, the pedals, your bones. You slow the car. The woman places one hand on the dashboard as though steadying herself. From the tree line ahead. A figure steps out. Another hitchhiker. But this one is wrong in a way the others weren't. Tall, unusually tall, too thin. No bag, no coat, no sense of belonging to any decade. Just a silhouette made of angles, edges, and far too much stillness. The woman's breath catches. "That's him," she whispers. You slam your foot on the brake. The car jolts to a stop. The figure doesn't flinch. It stands in the center of the road, head tilted just slightly, like a curious animal watching a shiny object. "Don't stop," the woman murmurs urgently. "Whatever you do, don't stop here." "Bit late," you hiss. The tall figure begins to move, not forward, but sideways, gliding toward the passenger side. Its steps make no sound. Its limbs don't bend properly. Each movement is like a bad marionette being manipulated by someone who only skimmed the instructions. The woman grips your arm. "Drive." You hit the gas. Hard. The car lurches forward, the engine protesting. The creature, man, silhouette, whatever it is, turns its head to follow you. Just its head. The body stays perfectly still for a breath too long before catching up. The woman whispers something that sounds like a prayer and a curse woven together. You don't look back. Not until you're several bends down the highway, and the sky has softened from star-soaked black to bluish gray. Only then do you dare to breathe. You look at the passenger seat. She's still there. But she's dimmer, paler. The fabric of her coat looks like it's unraveling without falling apart. "Thank you," she says quietly. "I needed someone to take me past him." "Was he following you?" She shakes her head, eyes soft with the kind of sadness that could light 1,000 candles. "No, he waits for all of us." A sharp, icy pulse runs through the air. "You should go now," she says, voice fading at the edges, before he realizes you aren't meant for him yet. Yet. But she's already gone. Just like the others. Just a whisper of lavender fading in the air. Only the road remains. The road and the growing certainty that the pattern behind these vanishings is tightening around you, one hitchhiker at a time. The road widens again, stretching ahead like a long exhale, and for a few minutes you let yourself believe the danger is behind you. The trees become a dark corridor rushing past your windows, their branches knitting overhead like fingers trying to cage the moon. The car hums with a nervous energy, as if even the engine remembers the tall figure on the road and wants absolutely nothing to do with round two. Your pulse starts to settle, a little. You keep one hand on the wheel, the other hovering near the radio, not because music would help, but because silence suddenly feels too intimate, like something else might fill it if you don't. You flip through static, weird humming that sounds way too similar to the creature's vibration, static again, and finally a soft, ancient-sounding piano song. Something slow, maybe from the 1940s. Something someone's grandmother used to dance to in a kitchen with yellow linoleum. You leave it on. The melody steadies the air. A few miles pass. The moon lowers, its edges turning faintly copper. The world feels like it's holding its breath. Then another presence. You sense it before you see anything. A pressure, a slight distortion in the air around you, the same way the atmosphere changes before lightning strikes. Your shoulders tense. "No," you whisper to the darkness. "Not another one. Come on, I haven't emotionally recovered from the last two." Of course, the road ignores your plea. A faint outline appears near the next bend, not at the shoulder this time, but standing directly in your lane. You slow instinctively, your headlights sweeping over the figure as the piano song fades behind a wave of static. This hitchhiker is neither tall like the creature nor quiet like the woman. This one moves, shifts weight impatiently from one foot to the other, paces, waves both arms wildly like someone trying to flag down a taxi in New York during rush hour. Which is honestly alarming for a different reason. As you approach, the figure becomes clearer. A man in his mid-50s, salt and pepper hair, wearing a bright orange hiking jacket that looks like it survived an explosion at a sporting goods store. He's real, tangible, solid. Something in your chest loosens. You roll to a stop. "Hey," he calls, trotting up to the window. "You saved my life, seriously. I thought I was gonna end up as bear food out here, or ghost food. Honestly, at this point, I'd take the bear." He talks fast, too fast, a living person's kind of fast. You lower the window halfway. "You okay?" "Nope, but I will be if I get literally anywhere else." He yanks open the passenger door, tossing a battered backpack onto the floor and collapsing into the seat with the enthusiasm of a man relieved to still be a man. He buckles himself in. "You blink. Second one tonight with a seatbelt." "That's interesting. Thanks for stopping," he says, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You're a hero, a true highway angel." "You're alive, right?" you interrupt bluntly. He blinks at you, thrown off. "I sure hope so. Unless this is the world's most disappointing afterlife, because I specifically requested unlimited churros." "Okay, good. Probably alive. Probably." You pull back onto the road, relief warming your chest like someone finally turned the heater to human comfort instead of Arctic ghost spa. A few moments pass before he speaks again. "I could kiss this car," he says. "No offense to you. Well, maybe a little offense to you, you're fine, but this machine is my new religion." You snort. "Please don't kiss my car." "No promises." He stretches his legs, groaning. "I've been stuck out here for hours. Phone's dead. Trail markers might as well be ancient runes. And that forest is not normal." You stiffen. "What do you mean?" He gestures at the passing tree line. It watches. You know that feeling, when something's right behind you, but when you turn around, it's just trees pretending they weren't looking. Your skin prickles. "Yes," you say quietly. "I know that feeling." He nods vigorously, relieved. "Exactly. I swear I heard someone walking beside me for a while too, not on the trail, on the dirt like they were barefoot. And the birds, they don't make normal bird sounds out here. They sound like someone doing a mediocre impression of birds." You grip the wheel tighter, and you didn't see anything. "Oh, I saw plenty. I just don't think my brain's ready to unpack any of it." You exhale slowly. the tension in your shoulders returning. He points ahead. Mind if you take me into the next town? I'll get a motel, recharge, maybe eat something deep-fried enough to cause immediate regret. Sure, you say, happy to help. Awesome, I'm Bari, by the way. Your brain hesitates. Bari. He grins, just Bari, like Cher but more huggable. You can't help it. You smile, tension easing just a fraction. But the smile dies as your headlights sweep over the road ahead. Because something is wrong. Very wrong. Bari keeps rambling, something about losing a water bottle that had sentimental value, but not enough to die for. But his voice fades into a cloud of background noise as you focus on the highway stretching forward. It's changing. Not the pavement, the surroundings. The trees pull back abruptly, giving way to a long stretch of open ground, except the ground isn't open. It's littered with something pale and scattered, like stones or bones or... No, not bones. Shoes. Pairs of shoes. Left and right, arranged neatly, toes pointing toward the forest. Hundreds of pairs. A path of footwear stretching into the darkness on both sides of the road. Bari stops mid-rant. What there are those, why would, who takes off that many shoes? You swallow hard. This road, you say quietly, has a habit of collecting things. He looks at you slowly. Do you know something I do? Hilariously no, you say. I'm the opposite of informed. His voice drops to a whisper. Okay, but we're not stopping, right? Absolutely not. Good, perfect. That's my preference too. You drive faster. The path of shoes continues. Some new, some ancient-looking, leather cracked, soles stiff with age, all facing the forest, all belonging to people who must have stepped out of them willingly. The farther you drive, the heavier the air becomes, thicker, like humidity mixed with dread. Bari presses a hand against the window. Why don't they look weathered? He asks. Like, shouldn't some of these be destroyed? But they all look preserved, like they've been waiting. They are waiting, a voice says. Except the voice is Bari's. And it isn't yours. The voice comes from the back seat. Your stomach drops straight into your shoes, which, thankfully, are still on your feet and not being donated to the creepy roadside shoe drive. Slowly, painfully slowly, you look into the rearview mirror. Someone sits in the back seat. A child. A girl, maybe 11 or 12, wearing a faded blue dress and no shoes. Her feet are bare, dirty, resting lightly on the floor mat. Her hands are folded politely in her lap, like she's been sitting there a long time. Bari shrieks, an impressive, high-pitched sound that cracks like a cartoon character being stepped on. What, WHO? How long has she been? The girl's gaze shifts to him, calm, steady, too steady. Don't be afraid, she says softly. I'm only here to warn you. Oh, nope, Bari wheezes. Nope. Kids are scarier than ghosts. Scientific fact. Somebody put that in a textbook. The girl looks at you now, eyes the color of river stones. You shouldn't have driven this far. Noted, you whisper. regretting everything, thanks. The boundary is close, she says, and he waits there, just like he waited for the woman, just like he'll wait for others. Your throat tightens, the tall one. She nods once. Bari curls into the seat like a terrified armadillo. Is he hunting us? No, the girl says. Bari exhales dramatically. He's inviting you. Bari's exhale becomes a choking gasp of betrayal. The girl leans forward slightly, her small frame somehow imposing in the dim glow of the dashboard. You must turn around before the line disappears. What line? You whisper. The line between the ones who leave, she says, and the ones who are taken. The road ahead narrows. The trees pull back again. And there, crossing the asphalt like a scar, is a long, pale mark stretching from one side of the forest to the other. Not paint, not chalk, something older. The girl's eyes darken. If you cross it, she warns, you won't drive back the same. A low vibration thrums through the ground beneath the car. You know that sound. Bari knows that sound. The tall figure's sound. You grip the wheel with trembling hands. What happens if we turn around? You whisper. She tilts her head. You'll leave, and he'll wait. And if we cross? Her voice softens to a whisper, so fragile it barely touches the air. You'll join the path. The car rolls closer to the mark. Bari screams, turn around, turn ARO. You spin the wheel. Hard. The car swings, tires gripping the pavement with a protesting squeal. The road behind you yawns open, dark as a swallowed sun. The shoes lining the roadside seem to shift as though disappointed. The girl sits very still. You chose well, she whispers. The hum fades. The trees breathe. And when you look into the back seat again, she's gone. Only a faint imprint remains where she sat. Bari exhales so violently, it fogs half the windshield. Buddy, he says, voice trembling, I don't know what cosmic karma you're tangled up in, but I'm sending you a fruit basket when I get home, and possibly a therapist. You keep driving. Faster. Farther from the line. Farther from the boundary. But deep down, you know the road isn't done with you. Not even close. The road finally opens into something resembling a highway again, wider this time, more forgiving, yet you can't shake the sensation that the forest still leans in, still watches, still remembers. The air is heavy, a mixture of ozone and old pine, like it's been charged with the memory of every vanished person who ever stepped, or was stepped, from these roads. Your knuckles ache on the wheel. Bari has finally slumped in the passenger seat, muttering something about needing a vacation that doesn't involve ghoulish roadside encounters. You don't correct him. He's earned his temporary denial. The silence stretches, almost companionable this time. The moon hangs low but steady, no more copper flickers, just a pale sentinel in the sky. And for the first time in hours, or maybe days, you allow your mind to relax enough to notice the subtle vibrations under your tires. That hum, the same eerie frequency that threaded every encounter, now feels like it's guiding you, leading you, Not threatening exactly, more deliberate. You glance at the side mirrors. No hitchhiker, no shadow car, no girl, no tall figure, nothing. The road is empty, the night quiet except for your own breathing and the car's steady hum. And yet a faint thrill of unease lingers, the knowledge that emptiness isn't safety here. Emptiness is just a pause. Ahead, the road dips slightly, and you can see the faint outline of a town in the distance. Streetlights shimmer like hesitant fireflies. Buildings, smaller this time, look normal enough, though a distant flicker of blue in one window catches your eye. You know better than to investigate. Not tonight. Not yet. Bari sits up, blinking. I'm officially declaring tonight the most cursed road trip of my life. You should charge admission to survive this. You give a dry laugh. Yeah, come for the ghost hitchhikers. Stay because your adrenaline refuses to let you sleep. He chuckles, but it's nervous, quick, like the sound will vanish if it lingers too long. The road stretches forward, straight and forgiving now. Your pulse slows, your hands relax marginally on the wheel. The hum is lighter here, less insistent. You can feel the forest slowly releasing its grip. The highway stretches ahead like a ribbon unrolling, carrying you toward safety, toward light, toward somewhere. Bari turns to you one last time. So, we made it, like we didn't get taken. You glance at him, the hum fading to a distant whisper under your tires. We made it this far. That's all that counts. He nods, settling back. For a few minutes, nothing more is said. The only sound is the quiet resonance under your feet, the soft hum of the car, the rhythmic pulse of the tires on asphalt. And for the first time tonight, it feels like maybe the road is done with you, at least for now. The forest stands silently behind, the trees bowing slightly, letting you pass. And as the night begins to soften, the first faint hints of dawn brushing the horizon, you realize something you've known all along. This road will wait. For the next traveler, for the next story, for the next vanishing. But you are alive. And for tonight, that is enough. The highway stretches before you like a silver ribbon unraveling across the early morning, pale light just starting to press into the sky. Your hands rest lightly on the wheel, almost afraid to grip too tightly, afraid that force might summon the next hitchhiker before the road decides you're ready. Bari snores quietly beside you now, the adrenaline finally catching up with him, leaving only shallow, even breaths and a faint trace of panic lingering in the corners of his mind. You glance at him once and remind yourself, alive. That's the most important word tonight. The landscape begins to change. The neat line of trees thins into scrub, low rolling hills punctuated by the occasional farmhouse, fences stretching into the distance like lines drawn by someone in a hurry. The road is familiar in a way that feels wrong, like a place you've driven through in a dream that isn't technically yours. Your pulse slows, matching the rhythm of tires over asphalt, the subtle hum beneath the car now more companionable than threatening. Then, just ahead, you see a flicker of movement. At first, you think it's a trick of the early morning light, a reflection off a distant road sign. But no, it solidifies. Someone is walking along the shoulder. A figure small and deliberate, head down, shoulders hunched. Your stomach twists. Another hitchhiker, another presence. And yet something about this one feels different. There's no glow, no mist, no hint of the supernatural that's haunted you for hours. Just a person, a child, probably no older than 12. They carry nothing. No bag, no coat, no shoes. Just the rhythm of their steps, deliberate, patient, hauntingly normal. You slow the car to a crawl, headlights illuminating the figure fully now. A girl, small and quiet, wearing a pale yellow dress that seems dusty from travel, bare feet brushing the asphalt. Her hair is long and dark, tangled slightly, falling over her shoulders. And then she looks up. Eyes grey, reflective like river stones, staring straight at you. The world feels unsteady. You try to speak, but your voice catches. "Do you need a ride?" you manage, uneven and cautious. She doesn't answer immediately. She only tilts her head slightly, observing, weighing, like she's calculating if it's safe to trust the vehicle, the driver, the world at all. The silence stretches just long enough to remind you how thin the line is between reality and the kind of story this road writes. Finally, she nods, slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial. She steps onto the shoulder and you ease the door open. The smell of the road hits you, wet gravel earth, something faintly sweet, like an old memory of sun-warmed grass. She slides inside quietly, folding her legs neatly on the seat, hands resting in her lap. You glance at her in the rearview mirror. She watches you, calm and unreadable, the faintest trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth. The hum under the tires pulses softly, acknowledging her presence. "Are you okay?" you whisper. She tilts her head again, eyes catching the first blush of dawn. "I'm here because you need to see what comes next," she says softly, voice low, clear, almost melodic. "Because this road isn't finished with you, and neither am I." Bari stirs beside you, mumbling incoherently, eyes half open. He's still human enough to panic, but too exhausted to act. Good. At least someone here is grounded in reality. You exhale slowly, gripping the wheel tighter. "Then let's see it," you murmur, almost to yourself. The girl leans back slightly, watching the road. And somewhere, deep in the distance, the thread hums louder, this time resonating in your chest. Because the next chapter of the highway story is just beginning. The morning light thickens slowly, washing the road in a pale, hesitant glow, yet the edges of the highway remain unnaturally dark, as if the forest itself refuses to release its grip. You drive on, eyes flicking between the road and the rearview mirror. The girl sits silently, almost statuesque, her gaze fixed on something far beyond the horizon, beyond the curve of the road. You feel a chill despite the rising sun, a quiet pulse thrumming beneath the tires, the same vibration that has haunted every mile of this cursed stretch. Bari is finally awake enough to murmur, "Ah, where exactly are we going again?" His voice wobbles, a mixture of fatigue and lingering terror. You throw him a glance. "You can call it survival," you say lightly, though neither of you feels much like joking anymore. The girl doesn't answer, doesn't react, only watches the road ahead with a patience that unnerves you. The terrain begins to change subtly. The hills become jagged, the roadside brush thicker, almost crowding the highway. Your headlights skim over shadows that don't align with trees, too angular, too quick. You glance again at the girl. Her expression is calm, but you feel the weight of her attention, the understanding that she knows things you don't. After a few minutes, she finally speaks. "They are always watching," she whispers. "Every time someone steps onto this road, they notice. Some follow, some wait. Some vanish. You swallow, gripping the wheel tighter. And the ones who vanish, do they come back? Her eyes meet yours briefly in the mirror. Sometimes, she says, but never the same. The road curves sharply now, disappearing into a dense copse of trees. The air grows heavy, damp, filled with the scent of wet earth and a faint metallic tang you can't place. You instinctively slow. Bari whines softly. Why do I feel like the car is going to decide for itself whether we make it? You don't respond. You can feel it. The subtle pull in the tires, the vibration shifting beneath you, almost guiding your path. The girl leans forward slightly. Here, she says, this is the place you must see. The highway narrows further, shoulders fading into nothing but dark shadows, and then you notice the line, a faint, pale stripe running straight down the center of the road. It isn't painted. It isn't reflective. It hums softly, vibrating under your tires. Your chest tightens as you realize it's the same kind of boundary the woman mentioned before, the one you crossed to escape the tall figure. Bari gulps audibly. What is that? The girl doesn't answer. Instead, she leans back, hands folded neatly, watching the road as if the line itself is a living thing. You inch closer, both fearful and drawn. The vibration intensifies, resonating through the car, through your chest, through your very bones. Do not cross it, the girl finally whispers, voice barely audible. Not yet, not until you understand. Your pulse spikes. Understand what? She tilts her head, eyes soft but piercing. The road takes what is forgotten. It keeps what is remembered. You are neither yet, and that is why it has not taken you. Bari groans. I don't like this. I don't like any of this. You glance at him, then back at the line. Your instincts scream both warning and curiosity. The pale stripe stretches on, infinite, whispering promises of truths you might not want to know. And behind you, somewhere in the receding forest, the faint echo of footsteps, soft, deliberate, reminds you that this road is never empty. The girl's voice drifts across the car again, low and calm. They are coming. Soon you will meet them, and only then will you know what this road truly is. The hum under the car's tires grows louder, the line ahead brightening just slightly, pulsating with a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. You grip the wheel until your knuckles ache, staring into the growing light at the end of the highway. The forest holds its breath, the road waits. And you know, whatever comes next, there's no turning back. The vibration under the tires grows steady, almost insistent, like the road itself is speaking directly to you. You keep your eyes locked on the pale line stretching ahead, knowing instinctively that crossing it, or not crossing it, will change everything. Bari is silent now, slouched in the passenger seat, his earlier panic giving way to an uneasy numbness. The girl in the back remains composed, hands folded, eyes forward, an anchor of calm in the surreal tension pressing down on the car. The trees thin slightly, revealing a low mist hovering along the edges of the highway. Shapes begin to emerge, forms half seen in the fog, people. Not quite fully formed, not yet gone, hovering at the boundary between presence and absence. You catch glimpses of clothing from another era, faces turned toward the road, as if they've been waiting a long time for someone, anyone, to arrive. A shiver runs down your spine. Are those the vanished? You whisper, voice almost lost in the hum. The girl's eyes flick briefly to the side. Some of them, she murmurs. Some chose to stay here. Some were taken because they looked away. Bari swallows audibly. I think I'm gonna be sick, he mutters. His hands grip the seat tightly, knuckles white. You nod slightly, trying to ignore the twisting pit in your stomach. Ahead, the line becomes brighter, almost glowing, and the mist grows denser, forming shapes that loom taller, closer, more distinct. The air carries the faintest sound of whispers, fragmented voices overlapping, sometimes calling a name you don't recognize, sometimes repeating your own. The girl in the back speaks again, calm, almost detached. They know you are here. They know you are awake. That is enough for them to notice. You take a deep breath, trying to steady the tremor in your hands. Notice what? That you are still living, she says softly, and still choosing. Bari flinches. Choosing what? The road is not a place for chance, she replies. It is a place for decisions. Every vanished person, every shadow beside the road, every step taken, they were all choices. And tonight you make yours. Your eyes remain fixed on the glowing line ahead. You can feel it in your chest, pulling, tugging, whispering promises of truth you aren't sure you want to know. The forms in the mist shift closer, circling, observing, waiting. Your pulse races, heart hammering in a rhythm that almost matches the hum of the tires. You are not supposed to be here, not entirely, not fully. And yet here you are, the car moving forward by your hand, your will, your curiosity. The girl leans forward slightly, voice barely above a whisper. When you cross it, you will see them. You will see everything they kept, and you will understand why they never left. Bari groans, collapsing into his seat. Can we not, please? I think I've had enough understanding for one lifetime. You glance at him, then at the misty figures. Their presence is magnetic, pulling your gaze forward, yet terrifyingly still, patient, inevitable. The line ahead glows brighter, pulsates like a heartbeat under your tires. The car edges forward, your hands gripping the wheel like a lifeline. You inhale, feeling the vibrations through your body, sensing the weight of every vanished soul along this highway, every shadow that has walked beside it, every whisper that has called someone to disappear. And then you cross the line. The mist swirls, the glowing line flashes, and the whispers grow louder, forming patterns of words you almost recognize. The road has accepted you. The air itself vibrates with memory. Shapes step forward from the fog, faint, ephemeral, yet undeniably present. They are waiting. And you finally see them. All the vanished, all the lost, all the souls who stayed too long, who ran too soon, who listened, who did not. Their eyes turn to you. And in that instant, you realize this road has been waiting for someone to notice, someone to understand, someone to carry the story forward. The hum intensifies. The highway stretches infinitely ahead, lined with faces, with memories, with vanished footsteps echoing through the fog. You grip the wheel, every muscle taut, every nerve alive. You are awake. You are aware. You are chosen. And the road waits for what comes next. The mist swirls thicker now, coiling around the car like smoke from some ancient fire. You can feel the road beneath you vibrating with an energy that isn't entirely mechanical. as if the asphalt itself remembers every soul that ever crossed it. The vanished, the watchers, the lost. They step forward slightly from the fog, their forms half solid, half memory, leaning closer, their eyes reflecting faint light like moonstones. Bari mutters something incoherent, pressing himself as far into the passenger seat as possible. You ignore him. You've learned to navigate the absurd tension of being alive on this road. Panic only slows the mind, and the road doesn't tolerate hesitation. The girl in the back seat watches silently, her presence somehow grounding you despite the surreal terror surrounding you. "Do not be afraid," she whispers. "Fear only guides them toward you." You swallow hard, hands gripping the wheel. The vibration under the tires grows sharper, more insistent, as though the road itself is urging you forward. Ahead, the highway narrows again, lined by spectral figures on both sides, each step of yours echoing against them like a heartbeat magnified in the fog. "They're not attacking us?" Bari asks, voice trembling. "No," you say slowly. "They're waiting." The words echo strangely in the car. Waiting. That's the constant rhythm of this place. Waiting for someone to understand, waiting for someone to see, waiting for someone to drive forward instead of turning back. A figure steps closer, faint and translucent. You recognize the outline vaguely. A man you might have seen on another stretch of road decades ago, vanishing into the fog. He raises his hand slightly, not in menace, but in acknowledgement. He, too, is waiting. The girl leans forward, voice soft but clear. Every vanished person left something behind. Every presence, every shadow, every whispered warning, they are proof. Proof that memory persists beyond disappearance. Bari swallows audibly. "So, we're ghosts now." You glance at him, then at the line ahead. "No, you're not ghosts. Not yet. You're awake. You're aware. You've crossed a threshold that many never reach. And the figures in the fog, the vanished, the watchers, acknowledge your presence with a quiet gravity. The road stretches endlessly, lined with faint lights from the foggy figures. You feel a deep, steady pulse in your chest that matches the hum beneath the tires. It's a rhythm older than the asphalt, older than the forest, older than the stories whispered on dark roads. The girl speaks again, calm and certain. You have been chosen to carry the memory forward, to remember those who vanished and those who will vanish. The road will test you always, but tonight you have passed its first trial. You exhale slowly, the tension in your shoulders easing just slightly. Bari mutters something about needing a shower and possibly counseling, but you don't respond. The mist still coils around the car, still hums beneath you, still vibrates with presence. Ahead, the road widens. The spectral figures begin to fade gradually, retreating into the mist as though their watch has ended. The vibration subsides slightly, leaving a residual hum that feels almost comforting. The highway stretches forward, empty again, but you know better. You know the road remembers. You glance at the girl. She's still calm, composed, but there's a faint trace of a smile, approving and knowing. She nods slightly. "You are ready for the next part," she whispers, "but the road will always test you." And then, like the others, she fades. A faint shimmer, a lingering scent of lavender and wet earth until the back seat is empty. Bari blinks, panicked. Okay, that happened. Was that real?" You nod slowly. "Real enough. and we're still alive. That counts. You take a deep breath, letting the car carry you forward. The forest begins to thin. The sky grows lighter, and somewhere deep inside, you sense the road's pulse, soft but persistent, waiting for the next traveler, the next story, the next vanishing. The highway hums beneath you, a reminder that this is only the beginning. The forest finally gives way completely to open fields, morning light brushing the horizon with pale gold. The road stretches ahead, straight and empty, yet the hum beneath the car persists, faint now, like a heartbeat fading but not gone. You breathe more easily, though the memory of every vanished hitchhiker, every spectral presence, every warning whispers along the edges of your mind. Bari finally exhales audibly, slumping against the passenger door. I think I need therapy, he mutters, voice weak, jittery. And maybe a vacation, somewhere without haunted highways. You give a small, tired smile. You'll be fine. Just don't volunteer for midnight hitchhiking anytime soon. The road seems quieter now, calmer, but you know better than to trust that stillness completely. The highway remembers. The highway waits. You sense its pulse in the asphalt beneath your tires, a reminder that vanishing, watching, waiting, these are never random. They are part of the pattern, part of the rhythm of this strange, endless road. The girl's words echo softly in your mind. You have been chosen to carry the memory forward. You realize the truth of it now. You are awake. You have seen. You have survived. And that survival carries weight, a responsibility to the vanished, to the watchers, to the road itself. You glance in the rearview mirror. The seats are empty, yet a faint shimmer of lavender lingers in the air. A memory, or a trace, or perhaps a warning. The difference is subtle, almost imperceptible. You press forward, letting the car carry you, aware that every mile traveled is part of the story now, every turn and stretch of road a chapter you live through. The sun rises fully, spilling warm light over fields, fences, and distant hills. The mist has vanished. The highway lies ahead, mundane in appearance, but infused with memory and presence you now carry. You take a deep, steadying breath, feeling both relief and reverence. Bari hums nervously, trying to make light of things. You don't respond, not because you're angry or impatient, but because you are absorbing the gravity of what has occurred. The road has tested you. You have passed, and yet deep inside, you know this is not the end. Somewhere out there, the road waits. Other travelers, other stories, other vanishings. But for now, you are alive. You are aware. You are the witness. And that, for tonight, is enough. The sun warms your skin gradually, and the tension in your body begins to ease. Your hands loosen on the wheel, your shoulders uncoil, and the hum beneath the tires fades into a gentle vibration, like a heartbeat settling into calm rhythm. You breathe slowly, deeply, allowing the rising light to fill the car, to fill the spaces once occupied by fear, shadows, and vanished presences. The road stretches ahead, familiar and comforting now, each mile a gentle affirmation that you are still here, still present, still alive. The memory of the figures, the vanishing hitchhikers, the whispers of the forest, they linger softly at the edge of your awareness, not as threats but as reminders that the world holds mysteries, that time is fragile, that life is precious, and that sometimes survival itself is a quiet victory. You feel the warmth of the sun on your face, the subtle scent of morning air, and the reassurance that though the highway's secrets are vast and strange, Your story continues, moving forward with each breath and each mile. The car glides smoothly along the road, tires whispering against the asphalt. You glance at the horizon, letting the faint gold light soothe every frayed thought, every tight muscle, every lingering trace of dread. The world feels expansive, forgiving, infinite in its possibility. Your heartbeat slows, matching the gentle rhythm of the morning, and your mind softens, drifting toward the quiet, comforting edges of rest. As the miles stretch gently ahead, you allow yourself to imagine soft beds, calm skies, and warm blankets. The vanished, the watchers, the road itself, all fade into the background, leaving only you, the wheel, and the open highway of peace and recovery. Let your eyelids grow heavy. Let your breath deepen. Let the gentle rhythm of life carry you toward the most serene sleep you've had in a long time. The road is quiet now. The night is behind you, and all that remains is calm.